Hi guys, welcome back to Forgetful Scholar, and this week let's chat about books. And this week, 2 books. So I'm gonna get started. I will say that this book, like the first book I'm gonna talk about, is a revisit. It's one of my favorites. It's one of my 5 stars, and I still am super stressed. There's a lot going on, so I just wanted like the comfort of one of my all-time favorites, one of my 5 stars, and like doesn't matter how many times I've read this book, I still love it every time. It still drags me into like the suspense and the yearning, and I love it. And as you can see, like I have read this book like whew, like I broke the spine when I first got this, and this was to Johanna Lindsey, Man of My Dreams. Obviously this is a reprint of the cover. It's not the original cover, unfortunately, and it came out in 1992. So this is, the trope of mistaken identity. Now, I'm pretty neutral on that trope. Like, it's not my favorite. It's not one I hate. It's one of the rare tropes I'm pretty neutral on. I think when it's done well, like any trope, when it's done well, it's, fantastic, right? So this is definitely a mistaken identity kind of trope. So, follows Megan and Devlin. Now, well, Devlin's first name is Ambrose, but he goes by Devlin. So let's talk about Devlin first. He's a duke, and he has to hide out. Well, basically, a young woman is saying that he is the father of her baby. And of course, at this time, oh boy, you can't be a single mom, right? But the caveat is he's never touched her. And he's not a stranger to women trying to marry him just because of his title, and he's a duke, just for his title. So his great aunt and like his family, which are like maidenly aunts, they believe him, and they're like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna hide out in this random country squire's stable. You're gonna be the new stable hand until either this girl gives up the charade of being pregnant, or if she is pregnant, she has to name the real father, because we do not want you trapped in a marriage to a woman that's, they don't want him trapped in a marriage, right? You might think this is strange because at the time, people didn't really marry for love, but his family loves him, likes him. His family loves him, and they don't want him trapped with this scheming girl, this little liar, for the rest of his life. Like, he can't even stand her, right? So they're like, go hide out. And secretly, right? His family has heard rumors of a great beauty, the squire's daughter, who's a great beauty, okay? So Ambrose, or as his friends and family call him, Devlin, because Devlin is his middle name. And just a side note, I love that name. I don't know why, but I love that name. Anyway, Devlin is kind of stuffy, very, he lives very rigidly, like, through the societal rules and what is expected of him, and is very stuffy, right? But as the book goes on, and as he, like, poses as a stable hand, you kind of get to see who he is underneath the etiquette, And he's a pretty hot-tempered guy, and, like, I just love him. Like, I really do enjoy him. He's more than one thing, right? So, okay, I'm gonna leave Devlin there and he's like, what do I know about being a stable hand or a groom for horses? Like, what do I know? So they concoct this scheme with the squire to start a horse breeding program. But the squire's like, I don't have money for that. And Devlin's like, don't worry, I'll pay for everything since you're letting me hide out. And this is just going to be like a thank you, for that, right? He has no idea that the squire's daughter is known as this, like, unthinkable beauty, right? So we're going to leave it there. And then we're going to go to the squire's daughter. Her name is Megan. And her face is absolutely gorgeous. And she has unfashionable red hair. Because at the time, red hair wasn't in fashion. Blonde hair was in fashion, right? I don't know how pretty she is, but apparently she's gorgeous. Men just fall over themselves, you know what I mean? make fools of themselves just to like see her and things like that. What I love about Megan, because normally a character like her I wouldn't particularly like, but somehow Johanna Lindsey makes Megan so likable, and Megan is sheltered and spoiled, and she knows. I think that maybe that's why I like her, because she knows she's spoiled, you know, because her mother passed away when she was little, and her father, the squire, kind of doted on her, so she's spoiled, but like still likable, and I don't like. Oh, cute dog scratching at the carpet again. Okay, like I don't know how the author did that, and this again is like, from, in my opinion, Johanna Lindsey's like prime, you know, like the best books they've wrote were like in the 90s, you know, how she's spoiled. So her father never says no to her, so whatever she wants, she kind of gets. And the thing about Megan is she has her best friend Tiffany, and they're two peas in a pod, right? And the thing is, Megan is determined to marry the local duke, even though she's never met him, never seen him, whatever. She even named her horse Ambrose after him. She is determined to be a duchess because the girls that used to be her friends, basically a bunch of mean girls, like really like kind of bullied her and like talked bad about her behind her back and things like that because she's so pretty. Even though like Megan didn't do anything to them, because she is she's spoiled, but she's not she's not a bad person. She's actually, you see incidences in this book where she's a really good friend to Tiffany, who's her like best friend and everything. Sorry, my skin's so dry. So they basically kind of bullied her and stuff like that. So she's just like, well, screw them. I'm going to be a duchess and they could kiss my ass. You know what I mean? So it's sort of a stupid kind of spoiled, naive kind of way of looking at it, right? And it's pretty funny considering everything that happened, right? Because, you know, when they all had their coming out party, she was the belle of the ball, even though she has red hair. Meanwhile, I think red hair is gorgeous, but whatever. And all the girls, you know, the mean girls, the boys that they liked Megan, even though she never did anything, didn't encourage them, didn't anything, right? So with Tiffany is a secondary character. I really enjoy their friendship. I really like their friendship. It's like ride or die, right? So Tiffany, this is just an example of how the author shows how much Megan cares for other people, you know, which I think is really great. Tiffany met this man, I forget his name. He's not really in it much. This man at a ball, and she's like, oh, I love him. So Megan proceeded to be a complete bitch to him. Because, like, he met her, and he's like, oh, she's so pretty, and she saw the look kind of taking over his eyes, and then she became a harpy to him, so he wouldn't like her at all, and instead see how amazing Tiffany is, right? And Tiffany apologized later because she's like, oh, I let that go on too long, and now he's making noise of how when we married, like, we won't be friends, he won't let me be friends with you anymore. And she's like, how dare he? Never. So I just kind of like that example, how Megan has no problem, you know, embarrassing herself, belittle, you know, being something she's not, so her friend can be happy. I like that us being showed that example. Like, I always love it too. Like, I can't tell you how many times I read this book, but like, I really needed it this week. I might actually read another all-time favorite for the upcoming video too, because I'm in a stress bubble, guys, and I'm trying to work my way out of it. It's not that easy, but I'm trying. So the whole hidden identity thing, right? She meets Devlin, who she thinks is a groom, and she like bosses him around. And Devlin's used to bossing people around, so he doesn't really act like a groom. You know, he's arrogant, all that stuff. And of course, like, they're attracted to each other, but they hate each other. You know, all that stuff, right? So eventually, through sex at times, and I love the act of them falling in love, even though he's in a different identity, because he's more himself when he's being Devlin, like the groomsman, like the stable hand, than he is, like, you see it in the book, like, he's more himself when he's pretending to be the stable hand than he is when he's back in his station because of rules and etiquette and everything like that. So I just love them falling in love, and Megan's like, oh man, I'm in love with a groomer. Not groomer like what you think, but like a horse groomer, like a horse trainer. And she's like, dang, like a horse breeder, you know? And she's like, Dan, he's below my station, but I really want to be with him. So she kind of like let go of her dream of being a duchess. And she's like, okay, how am I going to make this work? Because we're completely two different social status. And like, oh, I'll probably lose, probably won't be invited to parties, but Tiffany would still be my friend. You know, like she's kind of trying to figure out how she can marry him. And how that fits into her life and everything like that. So they have sex at times and it goes too far. And she's like, damn it. She's like, okay, how am I going to figure this out? Because, you know, women have to be virgins when they get married and she's no longer that. So she's like, okay, how can I work this? How can I figure this out? So he is like, no, we're getting married. And she's like, what? So they go to Scotland to get married and she still does not know who he really is, right? I absolutely love it. And marriage kind of happens sooner in the book than you would think, right? Because then we are in, okay, he's really a duke. He hid his dukeness because of this. We have to figure that out because the girl's still saying it's him, even though it's not. We have to figure this out. This whole thing is just like, it gets so huge and crazy. And when he goes back to being a duke, he's back to being cold and snobby and controlled, and she hates it. So she purposely pushes his buttons because she's a brat. So she purposely pushes his buttons to make him lose that cold exterior, right? And I just love it. And the third act conflict, I love it so much. Like I love it. If you haven't tried this book out, go ahead. Please do. I love it. The third act, the yearning and the argument and the happy ending. It's so good. It's so good. Please try it out. It's just so good. Okay. That was my revisit of a 5-star for me. That was historical, straight romance. Now, the second book I read is like boy love, guy love, mystery, supernatural, monster, paranormal, murder mystery. You know I love me some of those. Come on now. Skeleton Under the Stairs, Beyond the Veil, Book 3 by K.M. Avery. Now, this follows the adventures of Ward and Mason, and if you don't remember, this world had arcane virus that's killed a huge bunch of people. Some people were turned into magical beings like elves, orcs, vampires, ghouls, things like that. And then some other people woke up with abilities, like psychic abilities, like exorcism, empath, telepathy, things like that. Now, we're in Ward's POV, and he got the virus when he was like in his 20s, and it turned him into a medium. Now, through the books, we are slowly discovering that he's probably more than a medium. Like, he didn't have anybody to train him or know what he is, so he's a really powerful medium that we see more and more how maybe he's something else, a medium and something else, right? In the first book, he has a huge confrontation with a serial killer ghost, which actually was pretty, really well done. It freaked me out a little bit. But again, I am a bitch when it comes to scary stuff in books. But I was like, oh shit, that's pretty intense. And he is in a wheelchair. Now, the weird thing about it, I like that he's in a wheelchair. And let me explain. Wait, let me explain. So many times I read books when like the main hero is injured and then like in the next book they're magically healed. And I'm just like, it kind of takes the cost out of what he did or like the danger in the books. It kind of takes that away. So like the next time something, oh shit, was happening, it doesn't feel like there's real consequences to it. And I hope you guys don't hear my neighbors, all of them doing their yard work, but it's fine. You know what I mean? So I like that. In the second book, and I don't use a wheelchair. I would be fascinated if someone who does can read the second book and tell me if that's, accurate. I feel like it's a good depiction, but again, like I don't really know much about life in a wheelchair, so I can't speak on that. But I like that the second book, we are in his depression of with a new reality, and like, you know, they have to change the house and everything like that. And in this book, him and Mason, who is his fiance, who is a witch, and then got like, he's from a long line of brujas, right? Life or death witches. So like, they either beget the life power, the life magic, or the death magic. I love the death magic in this book is so good. Oh, I love good death magic. And that was a weird sentence, but I do. And when he got the arcane virus, he became an orc, right? So they're engaged. They're so cute. And like, I love their relationship because they do have tiny little disagreements, right? Like, it just feels a little bit more grounded, even though this is between an orc and a medium. Like, so when I say it feels grounded, that's an interesting choice of words, but it just feels more relatable. And they're very cute. And in this book, because it's customary when in Mason's family, when someone comes into their magic, that they go to the nearest relative that also has magic to concentrate, like an apprenticeship, right? They go to live with them. Like Mason went to live with his grandmother when he was about 8 or 9, when his powers came forward, because their magic, life magic, and death magic, either or can kill someone if they don't have magic to protect themselves. And I thought that was interesting because Mason is life magic, but he could still kill somebody with it. If you know, so it's like an interesting balance. It's not just like the death magic, oh my gosh, that's all they do. Like, it's a fascinating thing, and it's really related to kind of Ward's medium, speaking to ghosts, conjuring ghosts, commanding ghosts. Like, his powers evolving, and you get more and more understanding about Mason's life and death magic, and it's fascinating. So the 9-year-old nephew, Jackson, is a death witch, and his powers start to come forward. So he has to move in with Ward and Mason. And Ward, sweet Ward, has so much insecurities, and it hasn't changed. And I love the growth with Ward in these books, because he still has moments where he's insecure, and he gets in his head, and he listens to the darker thoughts, you know what I mean? But it becomes less and less, and he becomes more sure in Mason and the love that they have for each other, because Ward has some issues and he's had some bad relationships that left some scars, you know. So I just love that. And I didn't tell you what rating I gave this book. I gave this a 5 stars. Usually I don't give books in a series a 5 stars until I finish the whole series, but I really love this one. This one just hit. Sometimes, as a mood reader, if you're also a mood reader, you will understand what I'm talking about. Sometimes a book just hits right. It just hits perfect. It's a perfect time, perfect moment, perfect vibes, I guess. And it's just perfect. And I loved it. I loved the consequences. I loved the battle. And like, so, you know, they continue on with the secret society that is like really bad guys. They're doing experiments on people who have humans that have magic ability, psychic abilities. They're murdering the magical creatures because they don't feel like they are worthy of magic. It's pretty gross. It's basically magic version of KKK, right? It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. And the thing is, this book's like around 400 pages. And the thing is, a couple times I'm like, oh, okay, the book's at an end. Oh, okay, the book's at an end. And I was like, oh no, it keeps going. Oh, okay, it keeps going. But let me tell you something. The third act alone, like the last 50 pages, I think, had me going through a kaleidoscope of emotions. And I barely feel emotions. So that should tell you something, right? I was like, oh, cute ending. I was like, wait. And then like confusion. I was like, wait, what happened? I was like, no, what freaking happened? I was like, holy crap, no way. Holy crap, no way. And then like, okay. So that was literally what I was saying audibly when I was reading the last like 50 pages or so. It was so good. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it goes, let's just say you think the book is done. You think the heroes won the day. Nah, bitch. Other stuff is happening. Nah, bitch, just wait. Just wait, because whew, that was a roller coaster. And I loved it. I do. I loved it. The only thing about this book I will say is that Jackson, the 9-year-old nephew that comes to live with him, he seemed a little, he wasn't in the book a lot. And maybe he is a typical 9-year-old, but all the 9-year-olds, you know, family members and stuff that I've been around, he just seemed a little immature, like a little younger. Like he read a little younger, like maybe like a 7-year-old instead of a 9-year-old. But that is like, if I had to pick something in this book that I have to like complain about, it would be that. And that is such a nothing, you know? Jackson is still very sweet. I like their connection. I like how Ward and Jackson get their own, connection, because Jackson also sees ghosts like Ward does. So I like that. I like how because Ward is one of those people that gives and gives, right? He's definitely a people pleaser, and he's just a caretaker, right? So he's obviously like a natural at being a guardian for a 9-year-old kid that sees ghosts, but he doesn't think so. You know what I mean? And I do like a realization in this book that Ward does about his own issues in the relationship, and I really like that. And at one point, Mason kind of opens up more than he has done in the past about his issues and what he's scared of. So the romance, fantastic. The mystery, fantastic. The ending, holy shit. I'm telling you, the last 50 pages. Now, this is definitely not a book, like if you wanted to jump into this book without reading the others, okay, it does a good job of summarizing the first 2 books. But I will say, like, maybe not. If you haven't read the series yet, start with book 1, because I feel like for the last 50 pages to really get a chokehold, like how they did for me, I think you need to sit a little bit with these characters. You know what I mean? From the beginning, because holy shit. And I love the homicide detective elf, who from the beginning curses like more than a sailor, but yet is so described like ethereal and gorgeous, yet the things out of his mouth, for me, it makes me giggle, because I'm just picturing Legolas from Lord of the Rings cussing up a storm, and for whatever reason, my immature brain is like, that's hilarious. So, okay, I had a great week reading, which is what I needed, because I'm telling you guys, I'm so stressed. Hopefully I could get through it. Maybe I will get through it. It's just, pain in the ass while it's happening, right? So I don't want too much time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.